That's the way the introduction does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What I've got marked up kind of because okay, so you get the introduction, and then they introduce. What we'll do is we'll read the little saying
Yeah.
that's from the Kybalion,
Yeah. Okay.
the aphorism,
Yeah.
maxim, whatever.
Yeah, we should.
It was funny because it was whenever after our last one when I was trying to think of what the thing was, and then all of a sudden you read it, and I had read it earlier too, and I was like, that's the word.
Yeah.
They use maxim
Yeah.
was the thing.
You're
So there's 7 hermetic principles, and the little Kybalion quote is that the principles of truth are 7,
Ooh.
not 5, not 6.
Nope. 7.
But 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key, before whose touch all the doors of the temple will fly open. And that's supposed to be from the Kybalion. That's one of those.
I like that one. Okay, so the 7 principles.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 is the principle of mentalism.
Mm-hmm.
Should we just go should we list them all off, or we should just go into mentalism?
Let's
right
just
now?
go into it to give us a little.
So the principle of mentalism, is the all is mind, the universe is mental.
I'll second that. The universe is mental, man. This one's kind of an interesting one. We'll just do.
Yeah, I agree. Should we talk about it at all, or should we go on?
Well, let's. There's a few points.
Here's what I want to say right away about this. The all is mind, the universe is mental. I kind of grasp a little bit what I think the point of this is.
Oh, okay. Give us your
But
little.
the thing is I don't think you can understand it unless you understand the other 6.
Okay, well here's a basic.
I have a hard time with. I think that you have to go through the rest.
I think that once it's explained because it has a couple.
Yeah.
Once it goes into it, but the all everything apparent to our senses is spirit, universal, infinite, living mind. Okay, this is just. I don't know if that makes sense, and it's hard to. The universe and world as a whole is the mental creation of the all, and has its existence in the mind of the all. So that's what I mean. The all is mind. The universe is mental. It's all. This seems very, like deep and like what?
Yeah.
You're in a So we're just gonna give the basic overview. If anything. Somebody hears this and that makes sense. Knowing the above, knowing that the universe and the world as a whole are a mental creation of the all, and has its existence in the mind of the all, explains mental and psychic phenomena that are not explainable and defy scientific treatment. So these things that can't be explained by science, because I don't know if this is even. But what this does, okay, this is where I thought the way he did it is it enables the student to grasp the laws of the mental universe, apply that to his well-being and advancement, and this is done by the student to use mental laws intelligently instead of haphazardly. So using your mentality instead of just having things just happen, to be able to use them intelligently. And becoming a master key to unlock mental and psychic doors of the temple of knowledge and enter freely, not just stumble in.
Correct.
And intelligently. So that's the basic what it's supposed to do for you.
I thought of one of the things I think about often when I go through that is I think about the creation story in the Poimandres.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about how there was a lot of emphasis on the mind.
Yeah.
And
the God was like almost thinking things into being.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I'm just giving my little dictation on that. But that's what I constantly think about that. Ever since we've read the Poimandres, every time I hear a creation story or anything, I think of that creation story now. Like that's.
Dude, God is meant to.
It's
Not crazy.
Speaking of words that mean
It's
different
got a
things.
double meaning.
Yeah.
But it says, and the principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why and how all these are subordinate to the mastery of the mind. So this is like kind of a big thing. Like, whoa, like energy, power, and matter can be subordinate.
Well,
like so you're like levitation.
And this is probably the origin of the whole mind over matter concept.
See, you just had one of those cliches that pertains to this. That's a common in our thing, mind over matter. And here it is, one of the first things. So going along with that, this is one of the Hermetic masters says, he who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery. Well,
yeah.
Without this master key, the student knocks in vain at the many doors of the temple. This is the key, one of the first and the key.
Yeah. It's almost the first and the last, though, because, like, at least for me, it's not until I go over the other ones that this one starts to click a little bit more. Like, oh, man.
Well, that's why I was kind of like, gosh, why'd they put this one first? Because it's really hard to sum up. Anyway, so if any of that made sense to you, good. If not, well, we'll explain it. We're just doing a quick overview.
This is our overview here,
because we're gonna have whole episodes on these different ones, and it goes really into.
We're gonna go a full hour on just that.
So the second one, or an hour plus.
I might be able to.
The second one, the principle of correspondence. And this is as above, so below, as below, so above. And it says that's from the Kybalion.
I'll just say this right now. As the nerd in me right now, this is my favorite one.
This one never...
In this last year, every day, I am certain that about every day of my life now, I see something and I say, law of correspondence.
Really?
Yeah. Everything clicks better. And when it comes to understanding things, when it comes to understanding things, you're able to like predict the future.
What? I mean,
yeah. Oh, because it's like, well, as above, so below, and so things just make more sense, and to the point when you can almost like I've had so many times now where you might have heard me say like, oh, it's clockwork. Mm-hmm. You're like, that's exactly what it's supposed to happen. As above, so below. This is my favorite one. This one right here has allowed me to really kind of like, as a human being.
Brandon's broken the code, man.
Yeah, as a human being, this has allowed me to really progress.
Brandon sees me right now and I'm like zeros and ones, just going, talking to him.
Like the Matrix. No, like this one, that's my nerd comment for this episode.
This is a nerd one though.
Yeah.
Like, something that some guy that's way into H.P. Lovecraft and stuff, would be like.
Are you referring to my shirt or something?
No.
Okay.
No.
So like, yeah.
But I'm just saying that seems like, but
no, it is.
Well, it says it's there is always a correspondence between the laws of phenomena of the various planes of being and life. Okay.
Listen, the principles of geometry, right, enables man to measure distant suns and their movements while seated in his observatory. So a knowledge of the principle of correspondence enables man to reason intelligently from the known to the unknown.
Yeah.
And there's my favorite line
ever. Brand, yeah.
Studying the monad, he understands the archangel.
So the basic idea of this, the grasping of this principle gives one the means of solving the many a dark paradox and a hidden secret of nature. Okay?
Yeah.
By seeing something, like this is a scientific principle anyway, right? The correspondence by seeing something, a basic, like say, I'm not a scientist, but
it's
like,
math. It's math.
Yeah, well, but it's math, and it's also by seeing something, a simple system work, like a amoeba or something, by seeing how they work, then you can apply the simple thing to a bigger thing and be able to grasp how the bigger system works.
So let me just throw. Let me just like
Go for
destroy
it.
this episode right here.
Oh shoot!
So right now, this is we are basically. I think we're near the end stages of this coronavirus pandemic right now that we're going through.
Not a doctor.
Yeah, seek out your doctor's advice. But anyways, this has been a thing that's really stirred up everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting is right now, like different parts of the there are some crazy things that are happening because of this. Mm-hmm. Not just like for example, it's almost like the earth is changing a little bit. Like there's stories about like animals that are for the first time being able to like wander freely through the parks, or like because the humans have it's almost like the bigger system got sick and so had to like quarantine. And so like think about the cells in our body. When we get sick, all of our like our white blood cells and our red blood cells, they have their own duties and their tasks, and they all swarm and they all help fix things. And this pandemic that we've been going through is like, and when even in the aspects of our economy has gone down, and it's almost like this is like the bigger system is just sick, you know, and you can see correlations between the different levels to the point where you have like
as above, so below. Yeah,
you can see like, you know, you hear stories about how sea turtles are like at their highest numbers in like centuries now. It's because the beaches have all been emptied, you know, and so like
makes sense,
you know, and it's almost like the earth is like taking it. The earth is taking it, like, hey, the earth needs a little bit of healing right now. Because it's gotten
That's all
sick.
the earth needs.
Anyways,
man.
I'm not going to go further. Like I said, I don't want to destroy the episode. But what I'm saying is like the law of correspondence, man. I quote that one daily. So that's the nerd. Did I give 2 nerd moments now?
Dude, freaking nerd.
Whatever.
Nerd. All right. But anyway, so you can look at
this.
Yeah, the smaller things and can actually make you understand the bigger things.
Yeah.
The known. You go from the known to the unknown. Yeah. It's a really cool.
And in the Hermetica, there are the microcosms and the macrocosms.
Well, you know, think about the pyramids too.
Yeah, like exactly. Totally.
You know, with
Graham Hancock talks about it in his books.
Yeah, representing, you know, the stars and, you know, the heavens above. But understanding the heavens of the big things help you understand the little things too. It works both ways.
Hey, if you're having a hard time living life, delve into this, man, because things piece together when you can do this. What do you? I need a drink. Do you want it?
Yeah. I'll take. I'm gonna take one of those strawberry things.
Man, that's all I was gonna go for too.
Ooh, hopefully you like it. It doesn't have any sugar in it. This is flavored sparkling water.
Okay.
I might start getting
kind of like a LaCroix or something.
Yeah, but Walmart brand. But these are actually really good. This is the same one that I get the other strawberry ones.
Yeah.
And Tanya actually accidentally bought these.
Oh, and
I was like, oh, great. But I tried it. I was like, ooh, I like these. Oh, I love that strawberry taste.
This is better than the average.
This is better than LaCroix.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the best LaCroix one is the Pamplemousse.
Yeah, the grapefruit one.
Yeah. This one I love. I like the strawberries. Like it's got a good strong strawberry flavor to it, but no sweeteners or anything. So it's just sparkling water and strawberry.
So at my house, I'm just going to say this in case my wife is watching or listening. At my house, I call these gross waters because I buy them because I do want to have a drink sometimes that doesn't have any kind of sugar in it.
Yeah.
And I buy them, but they're gross.
I would drink this.
But this is not as gross.
Yeah. Well, you know what one's good too? When Tanya and I were in New York, New York has like all kinds of seltzers and stuff that you don't, for some reason, I don't know.
They're not as
seltzers are popular there, but they had a black cherry seltzer that was unsweetened and it was really good too.
Oh, good.
I love black cherry drinks. So,
why don't you marry it? Okay, let's move forward.
Maybe I will.
All right.
Maybe I will.
Did you hear Mark's pause there? He's like, did you have to say that on the air?
No, I was thinking, why don't I marry it? I love it so much.
The third principle.
Okay.
The principle of vibration.
Yeah, this one's interesting.
Yeah. I'm not going to say this one has been as significant to me as a law of correspondence. Mm-hmm. But it's up there.
Okay.
It's up there. It helps me see the world differently.
Read the phrase.
Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. I go back to poemandries again in the Hermetic texts. I think of poemandries and how there's like distinguishing between the higher intelligences and the lesser intelligences, right? Mm-hmm. And how there's a concept of everything. So we have this most of us have this concept of like, oh yeah, animals are alive and plants are alive. You know?
Yeah.
This is basically saying everything has motion in some way. Mm-hmm. Everything vibrates. Even at the most minuscule level, everything. There's no such thing as something that is completely just dead.
Yeah.
And nothing.
Well, and I don't want to go into science, so I'm not going to. But something about electrons moving, and that's what makes things solid. But
I don't know that stuff, but I do agree that
this might be bad science, because people are like, there's more space on that table than there is solidness or something, or whatever. I don't know whether that's true or not, but okay. So
I think that this principle means more though than just everything has like a level of life in it.
Well, everything, but I'm saying it's all movement.
But even just non-things
or vibrating
too.
Actually, though, vibration could be like almost like a singing, like like this vibrate, like it's like harmony.
Sure, which is a word that was used in the Hermetic.
Okay, it says.
But
well,
the thing is,
go ahead.
The next principle is the one of polarity, and I'm not going to go on that one yet.
All right. Well, let's just get the summary real quick, because this one I'm not. Like I said, I'm not totally sure.
You're speaking of vibration.
This principle explains that the differences between manifestations of matter, energy, mind, and even spirit result largely from the varying rates of vibration. That's what varies the different things, is how quickly they're vibrating or slowly. Mm-hmm. All is vibration, they're saying.
Yes.
From the highest to the lowest thing, it's all vibration. An understanding of this principle with the appropriate formulas enables Hermetic students to control their own mental vibrations as well as those of others. And this was, well as those of others. I'm all mind control.
Yeah, mind control.
Like
some kind of like mind over matter, something like that.
Yeah. So I'm not totally sure exactly. This one, an old writer said, "He who understands the principle of vibration has grasped the scepter of power."
Yeah,
the power. So whatever power that is.
This is a pretty interesting one, and like I think this one I think I understand this one more once I understand the next principle.
Okay.
Polarity. So want to just jump into it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature. What? Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled.
Yeah. And that's what. And so my reasoning why I said vibration helps you understand, or this helps you understand, the polarity helps you understand vibration, is basically the example. One of the examples they give in here is hot and cold.
Yeah, this is the best. Actually, read that because I like the way they do this.
So to illustrate, heat and cold, although they're opposites, are really the same thing. The differences consisting merely of degrees of the same thing. Look at your thermometer and see if you can discover where heat terminates and cold begins. There is no such thing as
65, dude.
There's no such thing as absolute heat. and absolute cold.
Yeah, that was an
And
interesting.
here, let me read the last part of that. It says,
Alright.
and this is where this is where I'm getting to the vibration part. The two terms heat and cold simply indicate varying degrees of the same thing, and that same thing, which manifests as heat and cold, is merely a form, variety, and rate of vibration.
Yeah. Well, that I guess that would be also like the different they take water. You have water that turns into you can freeze it, becomes a solid, and I believe that's this slowing the vibration of it.
Sure, depending on how you look at it,
slowing down but then in order to get water into a gas, you're adding energy to it and it's speeding it up. That makes a gas.
And
but I'm not a scientist.
And they also kind of so the whole principle of polarity is that it uses hot and cold as an example, but really you can find this through most concepts. Is we like to define things as humans. We like to define things.
Yeah, but they're not.
So one that I've been using a lot lately with my kids is we define good and bad. Right?
Yeah, that's.
But the thing is like, think about hot and cold. See, something's not hot until it's like uncomfortably not hot. Right? Mm-hmm. Something's not cold until it's uncomfortably cold. Like, oh, it's cold. You don't say, oh, it's cold in here, unless it's too cold for you.
Well, one thing is, it depends on where you're at too,
or
where you're coming from.
And you don't
like
say,
lukewarm water. If you're coming from extreme heat, will feel cold.
Sure, it depends on where you're at, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is no one minds. So when we talk about good and bad, right? It's like that's the same thing. People don't say, "Oh, that's a bad thing," unless people kind of agree, like, "Yeah, that's gone too far." But people don't generally say, "Oh, that was a good deed that they did," unless it was also another extreme. So we live most
good
people
is,
just like we just kind of
good is always as opposed to bad.
Yeah,
measured. That's how
correct.
And heat is measured by cold as opposed to cold. It's the opposite. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so really, what it is it's a measurement of basically going from hot to cold is a changing of vibration.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It says their opposites are really only two extremes of the same things with varying degrees between them. This is one of the things I liked whenever they talked about like love and hate.
Oh, sure.
Like, you're like, dude, they're just totally different. But what do they say? It says, yet there are different degrees of hate and degrees of love, and a middle point in which the terms like and dislike are used. So you have varying things, and a lot of times love will turn into hate, but it's the same. Some people I've heard, it's the same feeling, but
sure, exactly.
With just add time.
And this is where alchemy comes in too, with polarity. Basically, the alchemy of the mind is to be able to like change your vibration of where you're at, and to move it to another point on the to move it to the opposite polarity, right?
Yeah.
Or physical alchemy, the concept is changing a base metal.
Yeah.
To gold.
They say it's possible to change the vibrations of hate to the vibrations of love in one's own mind, and then again they say, and in the minds of others, which good. Here's your good and evil are but the poles of the same thing. And then here's where the Hermetists understand the art of transmuting evil into good by means of an application of the principle of polarity. So this is how you apply it. An understanding of the principle will enable one to change his own polarity if he will devote the time and study necessary to master the art. So you can somehow change one extreme to the other by understanding this principle.
So if I could real quick, we go back to the Hermetic texts. Thank you, Mark. We go back to what we learned in the Hermetic text that we read. One of the themes that we read, apparent that I grasped was it's harder for us to change than we think it is, right? Mm-hmm. It's when there's discussion about like the zodiac and how it's really difficult for us to change. Like we're like clocks, and like I'm very closely the same person I was 20 years ago. I have some different ideas and stuff, but like my base self is very similar. It's very hard to change, and that's what. Let's go for another cliche. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, right?
Son of a gun.
Yeah, we're just gonna continue. This is gonna turn into a game for us, probably. But the thing is,
that's so funny though how often we use them, and you don't even realize it.
And I think that this concept is where the change is possible. Is when you understand the mentalness of it, and you understand the realities of the polarity and vibration, you are able. A lot of people complain, I just can't change.
Yeah, it's just the way I am.
It's just the way I am.
Or just the way I feel. I can't help the way I feel.
That's the alchemy in Hermetics.
Yeah.
Is like, no. Not only can you change, but I can show you how, you know? And so,
well, that's the principle of polarity explains the paradoxes. And it helps you understand they're not really paradoxes.
They're actually the same thing.
They're actually the same feeling, and once you understand that, you can change it, or you can realize and you can switch polarities. It's like suddenly the negative becomes a positive, you know, like,
sure,
I guess.
Yeah.
But here, think about these things real quick. Light and darkness. So where does darkness leave off and light begin? You know, large and small, black and white, noise and quiet, high and low, positive, negative. Like, if you think about those things, you're like, well, like, what is small? What is large? You know, these basic things, and you can see, well, it really depends on how you're looking at it. You know, if something's small or large, so maybe there's some kind of mental thing there that you can.
Have you ever heard anybody ever say there's opposition in all things?
Nope. Never heard that.
So I think about some of these. This is another example.
Yeah,
of
must
something.
needs be. That's one of those truths. One of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
hermetic.
But if anybody tries to argue that with you, you're like, see.
There you go. Good trick.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like nobody can argue against that.
I would hate to be them.
Yeah.
They try and argue that. Should we do the next one?
Yeah. Let's get
Principle
through
of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. This is apparently a powerful one. This is apparently, once you understand the law of rhythm, that's when you turn into like a wizard, apparently.
Okay. Well, yeah, this one, okay, so
it's
the basic truth is, in everything there is manifested a measured motion, to and fro, a flow, an inflow, swing backward and forward, like the pendulum, ebb and flow, high tide, low tide. Yeah. So it's basically, this almost seems like the cause and effect, but that's.
I'm gonna mention.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you right now. Oh. We just talked about how everything's really the same thing.
Yeah.
These are all really the same thing too.
Okay.
Like, we're talking about cause and effect. We're talking about rhythm. We're talking about polarity. We're talking about correspondence. Soon we'll mention gender. And we're like, oh, these are all these 7 principles.
Well, it says,
but
okay.
They're all really
one.
Dude. You know? And that's why I said, like, you have to understand the rest to really understand what the mind means.
Because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but it says that this principle of rhythm, it says between okay, between the two poles which exist in accordance with the principle of polarity described a moment ago. Wait. So the swing is between the two. Like you're swinging one way, it swings the other way.
Sure, yeah. Like you can.
I don't know.
Yeah, you can imagine it between the two poles. This relates to the law of polarity.
So this law is manifest. Here's how it's manifest in the creation and destruction of worlds, rise and fall of nations, the life of all things, and finally in the mental states of man. Hermetists have grasped this principle, finding its universal application, discovered certain means to overcome its effects in themselves by the appropriate formulas and methods. They apply the mental law of neutralization. So this one, instead of switching polarities, or switching, not really, but, is you're neutralizing that swing the other way.
Yeah. It's where this is where the power of this whole thing comes in. If you're Hermetic, which I'm not, but I would the thing is if I would understand this is where the power is.
Okay, listen to this. This sounds powerful. Okay. They cannot annul the principle of the rhythm of the swinging back and forth.
You can't change it.
Or cause it to cease its operation. You're not even stopping the pendulum.
No.
Okay, this is really interesting. This is where the this is why you said the magician. Okay. But they have learned how to escape its effects upon themselves to a certain degree. They have learned how to use it instead of being used by it.
Yep.
That's so, like, the pendulum's gonna swing the other way, but somehow they're able to avoid it. Or
think about this. Let's think about this current pandemic we're in. See, people, if look at
not a doctor.
Rhythm, okay, the principle of rhythm, right, would allow a Hermetic to be prepared for this inevitable thing that we're going through right now.
Oh, okay. That makes. That actually, a practical thing would be like, the pendulum swung this way. Guess what? I see the pendulum's going to be swinging back this way. I'm ready for it.
Exactly.
Oh, you're neutralizing it because it's not. You can't
I like that. Stop the pendulum.
I was thinking
neutralizing isn't stopping it. Neutralizing is always being one step ahead of it.
Is seeing. I know that this happened. And rhythmically it's gonna this is gonna, and
if I move along
this is the next beat.
If I move along with it, then it's effectively neutralized.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So I that's very good. Okay, so
if you're a parent, over time you learn your habits of your kids using this principle. You're gonna live a happier life when you're like you're gonna be like basically like ready for when they throw their temper tantrum, ready for when they complain. You know what's going to happen. You can tell the future because you take the time to observe how things move and how they rotate and how they ebb and flow. And once you learn those things, you can start to like use them to your advantage because they're pretty consistent.
Yeah, so you're neutralizing the rhythmic swing of the pendulum that would tend to carry him to the other pole. So you're just neutralizing that. You're seeing it and you're ready for it. So you're like, like whenever a kid, don't you? I know, they're gonna, don't touch that, or whatever. That's okay. So it says here that all individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery do this to a certain degree, more or less unconsciously. But the master does it consciously. This is the difference. Because we all have this intuition.
Sure.
But it just kind of naturally happens. This is somebody, the master of it, is consciously looking out for this stuff. And by the use of his will, and attains a degree of poise and mental firmness almost impossible of belief on the part of the masses. So
who are swung backward and forward like a pendulum, basically sheep.
They're just getting boom.
They're along.
Boom. What?
They're along for the ride.
Happen.
They're just along for the ride. The master kind of can step back and watch it all happen.
Yeah, they're like, how does he know?
Yeah.
It just reminds me of different things where there's people warning about things and different, and you're like, how? They just know how the nature of whatever works. They know enough about the nature that they know that there's going to be an inevitable.
Yeah, I think about.
I like the way you
about
explained it. That really.
I imagine the observer in his tower at night watching the bear. Taking calculations on the movement of the stars. For thousands of years, these people that we now quote as like Galileo or Newton or like they had spent their precious spare time sitting up there and just taking notes on how things work, taking notes on the rotation and the cyclical nature of the world, and ended up being brilliant people. And really, I think it's this: they just understood. They watched it enough and they did the math that like they understood things that most people are subject to. So deep, man. That's a deep one.
Hey,
rhythm.
Maybe Galileo should have tried wearing sunglasses. Wouldn't have gone blind by looking at the sun too much. Maybe he should have seen that coming.
Yeah, where was your
insight? Where was your principle then, Galileo?
Let's keep on going. Principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. I love that line. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law.
This one's interesting because it's like very law. Like, hey,
yeah,
it's not chance. It's if you do they use a thing?
There's no
everything happens according to law.
Yeah.
Nothing ever merely happens. There is no such thing as chance. Various planes of cause, the higher dominating the low. Okay, this is. Now I'm just reading. So
basically, one of the things I teach my kids from this principle is that there's no such thing as a random. There's no chance. Like everything happens for a reason. The only things. So magic is when we just don't understand the math behind it. Right?
Yeah. You're like, whoa, how did
that happen? Right? When you roll dice, the reason why magicians use cards is because they can manipulate the cards and they have more control over the cards. The reason why they don't use dice is because you kind of are leaving it up to all kinds of things that you have no control over.
Yeah, unless you have a loaded dice.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And so the thing is randomness is not a real thing. Everything happens for a reason. There's no such thing as like it just happened. No,
yeah, things were set in motion. Something.
And imagine,
like even like a tree falling, there is things set in motion. Who knows how long ago.
Imagine growing up as a child, learning and having it instilled into you as a young child that everything has a reason, that there's nothing random actually happens. I think of how much pain I could have saved myself if I would have realized that, like, no, the world doesn't just hate me. I'm not like getting the bad roll of the dice all the time. Like, things happen, and then the hermetic in me could have been like, why did this happen, and what can I do to fix it, or what can, you know what I'm saying?
No, I'd take it as, I'd be like, dude, somebody's really got something against me that they had worked so hard to put these causes into effects.
So one of the
God
examples
hates me.
On that note, one of the examples of this is like your whole concept of a butterfly effect, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, and the thing is, the wizard, the hermetic, the alchemist, you know, the guy that no one understands, the guy with the pointy hat and the staff, they understand rhythm so well, they understand cause and effect that they can. If you read the Foundation book.
No, but I remember
they can manipulate the future by understanding these laws.
Yeah.
You know, they can do one small thing, and it will ripple and change things.
Okay. So, yeah. Well, here's the thing that's the scary part is the masses of people are carried along, obedient to the environment, the wills and desires of others stronger than themselves. and then they go heredity, suggestion, and the outward causes moving them about like pawns on the chessboard of life. This is kind of the conspiracy theorist, like
sure.
Like, well, I'm just saying
I-
if you don't understand cause and effect, you're going to be
You're just along for the ride.
You're being that the masses are being moved by cause and effect and not understanding it but they can overcome it. But the masters rising to the plane above dominate their moods, character, qualities, and powers, as well as the environment surrounding them. They become movers instead of pawns. Now, this is scary to me, though.
Okay.
I'm not saying this is where like kind of the darkness,
Sure.
like the couple that they said like you're controlling your mind as well as others, and all of a sudden they become the masters instead of the pawns. So it's almost when this principle probably can be used for darkness, where there's people that are setting things in motion. So, but let's use it for good.
So one of the things about
let's understand.
One
it
of the
first.
things about these 7 principles is there is no discussion of good.
That's true.
And evil.
That's true. And it's the same polarity anyway, right?
Yeah. And so it's really about, and that's one reason why it wasn't never a written thing. It's only those who are ready for it can take it. Why
because
be a teacher and
the
student?
Things could possibly be used for very bad purposes.
Correct.
And yeah.
Think about like
I don't want to scare
secret combinations and like the things that they're not allowed to talk about. And because really, what do these things do? They give us power. Like, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's you're right. I see what you're saying. It's a scary thing. This is where
I'm saying whenever you hear that, and we know, and I know because I'm part of the mass that's being carried along.
Sure.
We're all that we don't understand cause and effect. And that there's people who can manipulate it or become the master of it, which you want to be a master of it, but you don't want to. It's
hard to not look at people that have great power and go, how much of this are they doing on purpose?
Yeah.
I got it totally.
I'm like, well, I think my thing is I think they're all not as smart as you think.
Where you'd get the I don't know if it's a cliche or not, but like the whole notion of to act and not be acted upon is, cause and effect allows you to really understand. Like, hey, don't let the pendulum swing you. Like,
well, that was the other one, Brandon.
Well, yeah, but they're all the same.
Yeah,
and
no, you can see. But they have like these slight. But this one too. The masters obey the causation of the higher plane, but they help to roll on their own plane. That's kind of another thing. It's like there's that saying that it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven.
Oh sure, yeah, I like that one.
I don't.
I mean, I like that.
No, I know, but it's like, well, would you rather be a ruler in hell?
Sure.
Even though it's hell, or serve, but so that, like I said, kind of the way it's word, like whenever you hear the term pawns and stuff, it's like, well, I don't, it makes you seem like you're herding cattle or sheep, and I'm not really one that wants to control people, so. But it's becoming a master of your own.
Correct.
Instead of having other people move you.
And that's the problem.
There you go.
That's the thing that you brought up though, is
master your own density.
Technically, you can use these things for bad.
Yeah.
I mean, understanding these principles can help you live your life, but technically they'll also help you because sheep are sheep, and once you realize that sheep are sheep, you can. And if you don't have good intentions,
you're not. Well, yeah. If you don't have good intentions, you're mean. You're
last. Want to do the last one, Mark?
Yeah, the principle of gender. This one's very controversial.
Gender is in everything. Gender has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes.
The main thing that they don't want you to confuse this with just what we think about as gender, men and women, or sex. And
Yeah.
it says this is not true only of the physical plane, but of the mental and even the spiritual planes. The principle of gender works ever in the direction of generation, regeneration, and creation. Everything, every person contains the two elements or principles. Everything male has its feminine element, and every female contains also the male principle. So it's not a male female thing. It's not.
Yeah, it's not black or white.
They I think like English is kind of a weird language because we don't have the masculine or the feminine like endings and stuff. I think other languages understood and just naturally put it, and it wasn't even a gender like a woman or a man thing. It was just
it
was different mental states. It's kind of like if you would understand the philosophy of mental and spiritual creation. Oh wait, no, that's where I just read. This principle has no reference to the many base
metal, right?
The many base,
Polarity.
pernicious, and degrading lustful theories, teachings, and practices. They're saying this is not some kind of weird sex
which
orgy
I think has been
thing.
misinterpreted a lot.
Well, I'm saying if you know anything about what's his name, the guy that ended up exposing the golden, Aleister Crowley.
Okay.
He took one of the reasons is he took this into the gender thing into a sex thing.
There's a lot of that, I think.
Yeah,
I've heard
sex
about.
cult and stuff.
Yeah.
He says those kind of things, this is not about that. This is more of a general gender, male, female, or I don't even know. This one's going to be interesting to study, but he says those things are a prostitution of the great natural principle of gender.
I like that explanation.
So
my only thing I want to say about it, my only little small snippet that I could share is I went on, was Mother's Day last weekend?
Mm-hmm.
We took a hike last Sunday, and on the hike I was walking and I was with my daughter, and I decided that it would be a good moment to teach her about motherhood, but I did it in a hermetic way. And I said, the thing is the mother was, we knew the mother, and the mother was, when we become aware that we exist, the first thing that we become aware of is that we have a mother, and that we need the mother, and she gives us nourishment and she provides for us.
Yeah.
The mother then, understanding the mother will point to the father. And then we can we can start to explore the father a bit, and the father will provide us with. And I was using the example of like the poimangeries of the creation of the earth, and then there also being the physical creation and the spiritual creation.
You have the Mother Earth. Well, that's the thing. You have it's a natural thing in religion.
But the thing is what I don't think is often conceived though is what I explained to Esther. Is I said, but once the mother points to the father, and then you're exploring the unknown and the mysteries and the invisible things in life. The thing is the father will end up pointing back at the mother again, and then you'll be where we're at. You'll be taking a hike, and you'll be grounding yourself and getting closer to the earth. Like you don't graduate from gender. Gender is not like there's levels of it, and one's higher than the other.
Yeah. No, it's
in our culture, we kind of have that internal notion.
Yeah, that's important because it says that you're trying to actually, if you do the yin and yang thing, you're looking for the balance for both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into it more.
Yeah,
it's just kind of but you want the balance, and it's in no ways one because it's not a man and a woman thing. That's
just
the
like
main
it's
thing.
not like just like
It's
there's
not.
no such
It's
thing
not
as
even.
hot and cold. There's not such thing as black. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
just and it's just
perception.
terminology.
Yep, it's all a
And
human
so
definition.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that was your birds and the bees talk with her.
Yeah, that
She's
was.
like, "What? Well, what about?"
I'll tell you about the birds and bees.
No, I
talking
don't.
another time.
No. That's
But-
all right. Anyway, but one of the things again, the Hermetic philosophy has ever sounded the warning note against these degraded teachings which tend towards lust, licentiousness, and perversion of nature's principles. It's not about that. It's about something deeper. You know, you have the sun and the moon, and there's the masculine and feminine energies.
Sure.
But what I'm saying, it's hard for me not to think of it in that way, but don't think of it in that way, in the way of male and female. That's not what they're talking about.
So, that was good. I think that that short description of each of the 7 principles was fairly. I think it was fairly descriptive. I think we left it at a good place.
Yeah.
And I also think that once you go over all of them, and then you do start to kind of realize, like, and yet they're all the same. Like, everything is just basically a different vibration of polarity.
Yeah.
That was good. I definitely can't wait to go further into that, though.
Yeah, we'll go into mental, the universe being mental.
By the time we get to gender, things are going to go crazy.
That's right.
We'll be at least adepts by then.
Adepts. Well, these guys never made it to initiates.
Yeah,
humble
yourself.
They're gonna have to change it to 5. The 5 initiates, because there's gonna be 2 more initiates. Well, so anyway, well, that's all for today. Oh, I just want to give a quick shout out.
Mark's gonna give a shout out.
It's a real quick shout out. We had somebody commented on, has given on our episode. Their name is Angel Jill. Angel.
Okay, cool.
Aynjill.
Yeah.
He says, "Guys, I really love your podcast."
I
was just like, "That's sweet."
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's really cool because it's.
Thanks, Angel.
Yeah, thanks. So I replied to him, but just a quick shout out. Hey, somebody that's watching and is enjoying it. We're glad to hear that because you never know, and it's good to hear that somebody else is getting something out of it besides just
make
us.
more comments. This episode, the things we covered, those 7 principles. Feel free to say anything you want. Like there's some interesting concepts that we covered today.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think about those, and if you know more. If we glossed over things that we didn't efficiently know about, or if we missed some good history, let us know.
Yeah, if anybody also has a recommendation on something that will help clarify some of these things, we're always open to that. I mean, so, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in for this one. And next we'll get into the principles one by one, go into a deeper understanding, because I think it really helps expand on it.
So yeah, cool.
Thanks a lot.
Talk to you later.
Bye.